cleaned up a bit for grammar and flow while keeping your voice and tone intact. My math teacher wanted me to fail, even though I answered his test correctly, so I requested a government agent to oversee the final exam. Okay, viewers, I just want to share this little anecdote I went through some years ago. I don't care if you believe it or not. If you decide to take my word for it, I welcome you all to this story that gives me a smile every time I remember it, especially when I'm trying to fall asleep. Some quick notes. First, I'm not a native English speaker, so I apologize in advance for any grammatical or spelling mistakes. I tried reviewing everything before posting, but I know some things might slip. Second, this didn't happen in the USA, so I added some context here and there to help explain. So, back in middle school, it's not called that here, but it's the closest equivalent. I had a math teacher who was a complete jerk. His teaching methods were totally outdated. First, he didn't grade based on whether we solved the math problems correctly. He graded based on whether we solved them his way. For example, if he said, solve this using method X, and we solved it using a better method, but still got the right answer, he'd take points off. Second, he also graded our notebooks. He wanted titles written in red, problems in blue, and answers in black. Third, we weren't allowed to write more than one number per notebook square. Well, I was a bit messy with my notes, but I understood everything perfectly, and I got every answer right on the tests, aside from maybe 1 or 2 times during the year. Nobody's perfect. But Mr. Dickhead started docking points for things like not using his preferred method, not being organized, aka not using the specific colors he wanted, not writing out even basic math steps, like 2 + 2 = 4, even when they were obvious. By the end of the year, which by the way was the last year of middle school, he failed me. Here, if you fail a subject, you have to take a special final exam. The problem is, until you pass it, you can't enroll in any high school, even if you were already accepted. Here's more boring context. The best high schools in my country are usually public or run by universities. You have to apply to them separately, but if you get in and do well, you basically get automatic entry into top universities. These schools are free, and graduating from one gives you the best job opportunities. So yeah, this teacher basically wrecked my chances. And not just any schools. I got accepted into my top 3 choices, not just backups. They were the ones run by the 3 best universities in the country. So my petty, pissed off self couldn't take it anymore. When the classroom was empty, I walked up to him and said plainly, "Listen, teacher, you have 2 options. You can either just pass me with a 6. Here the scale is 1 to 10, with 6 being the minimum passing grade. Or I'll take the special exam and you'll have to eat your pride and give me a 10 because I know I'll ace it." He sent me to the special exam anyway, probably thinking he'd nitpick it and fail me again. But in my country, there's a little-known option. When you take the special exam, you can request a government agent, basically a teacher sent by the National Education Department to independently oversee and grade the exam. And here's the kicker. Whatever grade that agent gives must be accepted by the original teacher. No exceptions. Most students don't ask for this because the process is long and tedious, but me, fueled by rage and pettiness, I did everything, every form, every requirement. I followed every step perfectly. The day of the exam comes. I walk into the classroom. A few minutes later, boom, the government agent walks in. I do the test. When I hand it in, my teacher tries to grab it, but the agent cuts him off and says, "That's for me." He starts grading it right there. Just like I said, perfect score. The agent writes a big red 10 on the exam right in front of the teacher and says, "This student passed." I also found out I saved a couple of other students who he had failed unfairly too. But the best part? Watching that teacher's face turn bright red as I walked out of the classroom. Pure, sweet justice. Only he and I know what really happened that day, but it always brings a smile to my face. Mr. Dickhead got his karma. After that, I had to go to a private high school. I didn't want to wait a year to reapply. And for university, I had to go through the full admissions process again. Still, I got accepted into my first choice. And that was that. I know this isn't one of those movie-like stories where the student stands up in class and becomes a legend or something. But as my mother, a middle and high school teacher herself, and ironically a math teacher, says, "Bad teachers still teach you lessons." And she's right, because I ended up becoming a high school and university teacher myself, and a researcher too. Not in math. I liked math, but not enough to major in it. If you're hoping this ends with some dramatic confrontation years later, sorry to disappoint. I only ever saw Mr. Dickhead once again, on a bus going back to that same middle school. I didn't speak to him, didn't even look at him twice. He just looked older. As for me, I'm currently exploring options for a master's degree, probably something in forensic sciences.